Hey everybody, this is Keith Gleason, host of Indie Comics Relay and the Plastic City Comic Con con promoter. How's it going? Back with another episode of Starting Your Own Comic Con. Um, as we start getting more and more into this, I'm going to share some of my other tools that I think you'll need in some respect or form when you start your own Comic Con. This episode, I'm going to talk about you're creating like a floor plan for your convention. So the first year we did Plastic City, I mentioned in my previous videos that we did it at a VF Veteran Center, which is small. And I think the first thing that you should do if you are going to put a floor plan together is to go to your venue location. Once you pick one, whether you use a hotel, a VF center, hockey rink, whatever, you're going to need to probably go there once or twice or even, multiple times and find out measurements. Usually most of the places that you set up in will be able to give you the full dimensions for the space, and then after that is up to you to kind of create floor plan from that space. So let me show you one of the maps that I created for my convention when we moved to the second location for the second year. So here is the floor plan I created. I did this actually. I put this together myself in Illustrator. You could draw this out. You could, you just have to make simple shapes. So basically, this bottom part right here that I'm outlining is the ground floor. So the place we do the convention at now is called the Wallace Civic Center in Fitchburg. It's basically a civic center, like a hockey rink, where you so we put all the vendors on the main floor, which is the hockey rink basically, but we also have this upper area upstairs where people kind of come in and then filter down to the level where most of the vendors are. So I created both. I think on later versions I put this on its own separate thing, so we could put more, get a little closer look at it. So first thing I did when I created this is I went and took measurements of the entire area. Most of the tables that we use for this convention, we have the choice between 8-footers and 6-footers. We tend to anyone that purchases a table from us, we tend to do 8-footers, and then some of these spaces that we sell, we let people bring their own table. So usually people will either bring an 8-footer or a 6-footer. So I think when I marked out these spaces, I counted for 8-footers. So the one thing you wanted to, once you have the basic size of your convention, is you want to look up for a few different things that I think are essential. So, so basically, this is the row of tables against the wall. One thing I've noticed just from vending over the years is you should always have at least 4 feet of space behind your table before you hit the wall. So when I created this map, I made sure that there was 4 feet from the wall, which is here. I have a map somewhere that has these measurements, but it's basically 4 feet from the wall. Then you count about 2 feet for the width of the table. And then I made these aisles, I believe, about 10 feet wide. So you basically do all the math. So this would be 4, 2, 10. And then you would do 2. And then behind here would be like 8 because you have both sides of the aisle, so 4 for this aisle and 4 for this aisle, and then so on and so forth. And you would go all the way down till you have all the measurements from top to bottom. And then I think I went between each table, going from left to right, is about a foot in between each table, so that there's enough space for people to get out between the tables, that kind of thing. I also, you may wonder why there's like gray versions and then white versions. It's right up here. Like I said, we give the option of people to pay a cheaper price if they want to bring their own tables. It saves us a lot of headaches. We don't have to get as many tables, spend as much money. So when we do that, we color code them so that we know who's bringing a table and who isn't. So that's what we did here. And then I would say just make a numbering system. That way, you can make a sheet when somebody comes into the show and says, "Hey, I'm so-and-so, where's my table?" And you can look on the sheet and you have a number where they go. So as you can see, I have 1W, and it goes all the way across and then continues down here. The W kind of stands for wall. So here's 1W. So you kind of know, hey, that's the wall. Okay. And then all the middle aisles here are AA for like Artist Alley. And then I do ET for these end tables, like end tables, so, and then I laid out a little, we had a kids workshop, for, from the great people over at Kids Comic-Con, Emily and Jeremy, who are awesome convention promoters as well. They do a workshop, so we had them down to this event for this year. And then this year we also had some cars in here, like the Batmobile and the Gotham Cruiser and Spider-Mobile. And then in the corner here, we had a TARDIS set up so people could, this is sort of the photo op area, So I forget how much space we allowed that, and probably at least 20 to 30 feet, And then, here's the upper floor with, we have the emission tables. We have a swag table here where people can put all their flyers and things like that. And then we had a couple tables set up here for overflow vendors, basically like podcasts and things like that. So the way I always kind of lay out this floor, and I think it just makes sense in terms of the kind of vendors you have at shows. I kind of put all the retailers together on this end of the convention. So these first 3 rows tend to be retailers, like comic book dealers, comic art, toys. We don't have too much Funko, but we do have a couple vendors that do Funko. So we have those guys all over here. Pokemon card dealers, Magic, that kind of stuff. And then as you start to go further down, like this row, I think it tends to be all local authors, writers, things like that, people that just have novels basically. And then after that, it starts going into just indie artists and Artist Alley. So I tend to think in terms of like retail space as well. Like if you ever talk to a retailer store, they tell you they put, most retail stores put all their more important or their bigger items, the stuff that people are really after, at the back of the store, so that people have to kind of walk through the entire place and see everything, and they're not just coming up to the front grabbing whatever is hot and then leaving. You want people to see the entire place. So I tend to put all the bigger items in the back here, like the Batmobile, the Cruiser, the TARDIS. And then down here I have all my high superstar artists. Like it looks like this year we had Jerry Ordway here, and Craig Rousseau were our big guests, and Joe St. Pierre. So we had them. Oh, and our buddy Joe Carmagna was here as well. So we put them all kind of like at the end over here, near the TARDIS, so that people coming in over here would have to go through the entire show to kind of find them, and they see everybody. So that's something to think about as well, But also you got to think about in terms of when you have a high-end artist like these guys, if a line forms, how am I going to deal with that? So I kind of put Jerry Ordway here. So if we did have a line with him, we could kind of loop it around the TARDIS and kind of go around the edges here, and he's against the wall. So we could kind of have it loop around and just hug the wall if a line was big enough. Thankfully, I don't think it ever got more than like 10 or 15 people in his line. So, it stayed pretty manageable the whole weekend, which is great. So, but yeah, I suggest if you're going to do a floor map, one, you need all the measurements, take as many as you need. I think when I was doing this map, I went back like 3 times just to double check all my math, because the worst thing that could happen is you set up the map and then you don't have room for somebody that you originally took money for, and then you have to do the refund thing, so double, triple check your math, that kind of thing. I wouldn't spend money to have somebody make one of these. I mean, you can draw this out by hand. You could put it in Illustrator like I did here and just kind of make your own map. And, I would suggest this fits on like an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. I made it so that's that size. So if I have to print it out, I can just easily print it, and then you want to kind of do a numbering system here so that when you print out another sheet with just the list of all the artists and the vendors that you have coming, you can coordinate it with the number here that's where they're going to be in the show. And then, if you have to change it, have that whiteout handy, so you can fix it here. And I have a whole list of instructions I follow whenever I have to make changes and things like that, make sure I hit all the different lists and things like that. So I'll go through some more of my other paperwork I create for this convention in a later video. But so that's pretty much it for, for like making a floor plan. Definitely ask me if you guys have any questions about it. Let me know if you have, like if you're thinking about doing a show, any other things you would like me to talk about, things like that. This is also the convention for Plastic City Comic-Con. We got it coming up this July. We're going to see how things go with the whole COVID situation. Right now, we're planning on proceeding, but if COVID becomes crazier and out of control, we may end up delaying again. I hope not to do that. I think people are ready. Also I got to make sure with the cities are cool with having an event like this. They seem to be. Most other shows seem to be opening up and things like that, as long as people are masked up and things like that. So we may just do something like that, more masks and, maybe some sanitized stations and things like that around. But yeah, that's it. So check this out. I still have some tables available if anybody's in the Massachusetts, New England area wants to come and set up our show. Please come on and, go to the exhibitor information here and then just hit this, fill out an application. And if you're accepted, we'll send you all the info you need to be a vendor at the show. Like we said, we're curated convention, so we just trying to keep this comic focused and artist and writer and that kind of thing focused. So definitely check it out, plasticcitycomiccon.com. All right, everybody, that's it for this episode of How to Start Your Own Comic-Con. Like I said, like, subscribe to the channel, share these videos if anybody you know is thinking about starting a show. Also send us comments. I would love to hear, what kind of questions you guys have for me. I've done five successful shows at this point, so we never lost any money on any of them. So, I guess I'm doing something right, so, so definitely check it out. All right, everybody, have a great day. And come back this Wednesday, every other Wednesday we have me and Johnny will interview indie creators, so you can kind of get the indie creator side of things too. So we're trying to do a lot of different things on this channel. So just everything comic book focused and, just about the techniques and things like that behind everything. So, all right, everybody, have a great week. This is Keith from Indie Comics Relay, and we will talk to you soon. See you later.